Hello, I'm Mike Bain. Thanks for joining us at Christian Voice New Zealand as we take another look into the culture through the lens of the Bible. You know, I'm not sure about you, but I start to get worried when politicians say something that is both true and makes a lot of sense. 2 words fell from the mouth of the New Zealand Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, as he addressed the issue of school lunches. Now, specifically regarding complaints about the supply and content of the government's school lunch program. He said if people are unhappy, make a Marmite sandwich and throw an apple into the kids' school lunch box. And he called it, are you ready for this? These are the 2 words which came out of his mouth: parental responsibility. Been a long time, a really long time, since I've heard someone use that phrase. Well, this is how I see it. Parental responsibility to the generation bringing up children is what? It's a foreign concept, or at least it appears to be. Now, if I'm being honest, it's hard to criticise today's young parents because the generation prior to them wanted everything done for them. So it's a natural progression that the generation of parents now expect everyone else to take responsibility for bringing up their young ones. Young children from an early age are in the care of strangers more on a daily basis than they are of their own parents, from the cradle, just about, as they're put into early child care centres. Then they move on to school. If they're lucky, by the time they're in their mid-20s or older, they'll come out of that education system. That state-controlled education system will have had your children all those years and taught them their view of how the world works, and the teachers and the lecturers will have installed into them their own views and given the child a sense of worth based on their own morals and values. And remember that the state-controlled curriculum is what the state wants them to believe. Today the state feeds them by providing, in some cases, both breakfast and lunch. Yep, it's a different world when I was growing up. If you forgot your lunch, your mother made, or in some families you made your own. But if you left it on the bench, come lunchtime, you went hungry. It was called personal responsibility. So back to parental responsibility. What is it? Well, to find out the answer, I went to the most reliable source of information, Google, and asked what parental responsibility is. So, okay, here it is beside me. First point in the introduction: all mothers and most fathers have legal rights and responsibility as a parent, known as parental responsibility. Now, if you have parental responsibility, your most important roles are to provide a home for the child and protect them and maintain the child. Hey, 2 simple things I would have thought, but the detail is in the wording. Provide a home, not just a house, but a home. There's a difference between providing a home and a house. The terms home and house are often used interchangeably, but they convey different connotations. For example, a house. A house refers to a physical structure or a building where people live. It includes the walls, roof, and all the tangible aspects of a dwelling. Providing a house, though, it means offering a physical shelter or property where someone can live. But a home, on the other hand, it goes beyond the physical structure. It represents a place where people feel safe, comfortable and connected. It's filled with memories, love and a sense of belonging. Providing a home means creating an environment that offers emotional support, warmth and a sense of community. In summary, a house is a physical entity, while a home encompasses the emotional and psychological aspects that make a dwelling place more meaningful and fulfilling. It's like saying a house is what you build, a home is what you make of it. Hopefully you can see the difference. Well, parental responsibility doesn't just end there. Yes, you're also responsible for disciplining the child. Parental legal right and responsibility, not the state's or someone else's. If you want to discipline your child, it's your right. How you do it, The government never has had a mandate to alter this, but I understand why they initiated the anti-smacking law. But really, how many parents do discipline their children according to the law of the land? And yet we still hear of children being abused, just saying. Choosing and providing the child's education. Now legally, and it is your responsibility to ensure your child has a full education which helps them realise and reach their full potential. In certain historical contexts, though, the state has taken full control of children's education, sidelining parental involvement. Let me give you an example, one that's pretty familiar. In Nazi Germany, the Hitler Youth Program aimed to indoctrinate children with state ideology, effectively replacing parental influence with state control. Now, as a parent, there may not be much choice as to the education facilities close by, but if those choices are still limited, then it still remains both you and your legal right and responsibility to ensure that they get the best and right education that fits into your belief system, complete with your own values of morals and integrity. Hey, it's up to you whether you send your children to school, or if you want to, you can homeschool them. Importantly, though, it's a biblical requirement that you educate your children in the ways of the Lord, and that's something the state system can't provide. Deuteronomy 4:9 says, "Only be careful and watch yourselves closely, so that you don't forget the things your eyes have seen, or let them fade from your heart as long as you live. Teach them to your children and to your children after them." Deuteronomy 11:19, which I've quoted many times, teach them, that is God's words, to your children, talking about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Agreeing to a child's medical treatment, this is one that is a can of worms, but one which should be taken under real advisement from medical practitioners, and certainly not the state. Now, for some reason unknown to me, many of today's parents will not accept vaccinations. Can I just say that while many, myself included, refused the COVID vaccination for many different reasons, least of which was because it was unproven in its efficacy and safety, but there are huge numbers of vaccines that have been tested and proven to be safe. The world has eradicated a lot of life-threatening diseases in the past, but today I'm reading about our children suffering from outbreaks of measles. Even polio has entered back into the conversation. Yes, how your child is treated medically is your decision, but let's not let well-intentioned misinformation guide you. The next one is naming the child and agreeing to the change of name. Well, once again, it's your legal right to call your child by the name you want, but there are some even in this country you can't use, and every year we see the births, deaths and marriages, a list of popular names, and some just outright insane. Think about it, people. The name you give your child will be theirs for life. You know, I grew up with a Johnny Cash song called A Boy Named Sue, but also around that time I worked with a couple whose surname I'm not going to mention, called their son Jesus, Josephine, Gramophone, whatever their name was. All I could think of at the time when they told me was, why? Well, looking after a child's property, parents have to ensure that their child is supported financially, whether they have parental responsibility or not. Go back to Google's interpretation where it says all mothers. I'm taking that as reading all biological mothers and not biological men pretending to be mothers, and it states some fathers have legal rights. Now, can I say that we live in a modern world where upside down now appears to be the right side up, where some families are blended with others, and some families have children with the same mother but different fathers. But it's our duty, it's our responsibility to ensure that we look after them financially. It's a sad indictment on society where men opt out so easily from this responsibility. Hey, so there it is, parental responsibility. Who thought 2 words would mean so much? And thank you, Christopher Luxon, for mentioning it. One quote, though, that touches on the theme of abdicating responsibility to the state is by philosopher and 1952 Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer, who said, "We cannot abdicate our conscience to an organisation nor to a government." This reflects the idea that individuals and families must maintain their moral and personal responsibilities rather than relying on external institutions. Now, what I've given you is a simplistic summary from Google, but hey, there's just so much more to just providing and having legal rights to obligations to parenting. To call ourselves mum, dad, or use the title parent, we must also show our children love. And as any parent who's honest will agree, it's hard sometimes. It's definitely not easy, but we need to nurture them and give them the best gift we can give them. The best way we can show our love for them is to bring them up in the way of the Lord. Ephesians 6:4 says, "Fathers, don't exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord." Hey, thanks for joining us here at Christian Voice New Zealand as we look at today's culture, once again through the lens of the Bible. As always, we ask you to leave your comments, share the video with others, subscribe, or if you want to support our work, you can find details on how you can do that on our website, christianvoicenewzealand.com. Just let me leave you with this thought though from Numbers 6:24-26. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Until next time.